Hi everybody, welcome back to PUBG, and in this video we're going to be looking at some strategies and tactics of a duo chicken dinner where, well, the Colonel really wins the chicken dinner at the end after I've died. But it highlights some of the tactics and strategies I like to play with in PUBG. And also the Colonel's end game is really cool as well. You can see how he gets the chicken dinner. But also there's a good mistake that I make when just before I die, where I lose situational awareness, and we'll kind of, when we get to that bit, we'll talk about actually what happens and maybe how you can avoid that yourself as well. Now, although we'll be getting through the whole of the video, we'll be jumping sort of forward in time. But if you do want to watch the video in its entirety, there is a link in the description of this video that will take you to the full gameplay video. And in the full gameplay video's description, there are timestamps so you can jump around. Just bear in mind that there's no audio chat recorded on that video. So although me and the Colonel, we are talking to each other, you don't actually get to hear that. Unfortunately, we can't record that on Xbox. So let's start off and let's have a look at the initial drop point. So here we go. So as you can see, this is roughly a west to east flight path on Taego, and always I tend to be thinking you want to be dropping in the second half of the flight path, and you want to be dropping far enough away where you can avoid landing with other players. Preferably you want to get a vehicle and drive even further away, so that you can loot in peace, and you want to be going away from any named areas as well, because they're like magnets for players. So really with this one, this side of the map, we are looking kind of on this area as well. Now Taego does tend to have plenty of vehicles on it as well, so it's pretty good for that. In fact, tell you what, let me just turn down the volume slightly so it's not quite as loud. And then I hit the ground. The Colonel's a little bit behind me, as you can probably see in that video there. He's at that compound there. And really, I'm just looking, to get my favourite things. You want a minimum level 2 helmet, level 2 vest, level 2 bag. 7.62 weapons would be what I would really like to have, something like an SKS or an SLR as my long distance weapon with a 4x or a 6x on, and then something like an AK or a barrel or a 416 or a SCAR as my close-up weapon, depending on what's available and how I'm feeling at the time. Sometimes I just think, yeah, I really like it. Actually, run Taego, so I go with the K2, I think, is my close-up weapon. Sometimes I like to go with a Vector SMG. Really, sometimes you have to mix it up. You think, well, I've been using a barrel an awful lot, so it's just a case of running around. Quick tip actually about how I loot. You'll see when I loot, I tend to always loot the same way, which is I always turn left, so I'm always looting around the buildings in a clockwise manner, just to make things a little bit simpler. So anyway, I'm looting away here. If we look at the mini-map in the bottom right corner, you can see the Colonel's up here, and he then says, whoa, I've got somebody just pulled up on me as well. So I've got enough stuff to help him out, so then it's a case of moving towards the Colonel's position. And the Colonel is here behind this tree, and the enemies are in this compound here. So we're chatting to each other. Now, what we're trying to do here is by not going to the same place, is to create a gap between ourselves where we can support each other with fire, so we can defend each other if we get attacked, but also to create angles, to create like a flank. So if the enemies have seen the Colonel and try to engage the Colonel, then I will be over here somewhere, so I can get an angle if they're trying to engage him from behind cover. So it's like an automatic flank. If they see me and try to attack me, he can then engage them from a different angle. So that's what we're trying to do. Now, as it is, these guys haven't seen us, so we are in effect ambushing them. So as we come round, I see one of the guys in that building there. So there's a guy in that building there. And then we're just trying to get some more information. Again, I've got to be fairly careful because you see I haven't got a helmet on. So, I will go down very, very quickly. Just trying to figure out where are the enemies. And hopefully, one of the cool things you can do is when there's two of you and it's a surprise against another duo. Right, so the other guys the enemies is just there. Is you can take someone down very, very quickly, which is pretty cool to be able to do that. So, now, you could argue whether I'm doing the right thing here by standing up, because I have no cover to my right. The Colonel's behind this nice tree. This chap's running over here. Now, I'm just kind of waiting to see what the Colonel does, because he's closer. But as soon as he open fires, that's it, and I get a few shots in with my M16. Now, as soon as I've done that, I reposition, because I've got no cover, so I can't stay here. Now, I know the other guy is going to be around here, so I reposition down here. And the colonel is telling me where the other guy is. So I come down here, and then I use third person to peek. So remember, when you're in third person, you just go up and up near a wall, near a corner, and you can see round, and he can't see me. So always remember that as well, is that when you're getting into engagements and people are approaching you, if you're out in the open, people will be able to see around corners. It's just the nature of a third person thing. So what I'm thinking here is get the M16 out with the 3 times on and blat him a couple of times. So, and then I do hit him because we see the blood spurt, but he hits me a couple of times. So I need to back off and then use my first aid. Now, I'm listening here. This is why you have to wear headphones when you're playing PUBG and first-person shooters. I'm listening for this guy, because any person, worth his salt, he knows he's hit me good, and he's going to be pushing me, especially if his enemy, his duo partner is down. So again, I'm pre-aiming the corner, just waiting to see what happens, and he comes out, so I can start firing virtually straight away, and we can knock him. And then the colonel gets the other guy, and then we get the kills. Again, I don't finish him straight away, because we're just waiting to see. Right, so the colonel then has killed the other player. So we've killed both of these guys, which is cool. And then we can loot up, and then we can start moving off into the next circle. But it was a nice little warm up there. So we can see the circle has popped down on the south of the map. We're here, and so we stop at a compound here, and then we move this way. We've picked up a vehicle, as you can see, one of the sort of DeLorean looking type vehicles. It's very quiet. We're on the quiet side of the circle. Again, this is the reason why the flight path was west to east. That's why we went so far, and we're coming down here. So this would be very, very quiet down here. You won't get many teams on this side. They'll have only been pulled this side, really, if they're trying to use the same strategy and tactics that we are, or if they've been chasing supply drops. Remember, most people will drop fairly close to the flight path, going to one of the big named areas. They're just like magnets for people. So, we've got a vehicle, we've got plenty of time, sort of 3 minutes basically before the circle comes in. So we just stop here, and we get some even more loot. And then the next circle's popped, so we get back into the vehicle, or I try to get back into the vehicle. And as you can see here, this circle's moved further round, so we're kind of southwest on the map, and we'll be looking to move around to somewhere around this sort of area. There we go, just dropping a marker. If you're the passenger in a car, it's always good to be able to give the driver instructions, give them somewhere to aim for. If they're not familiar with the map, just zoom in and give them left, right, straight on as you're actually driving as well. So that's pretty cool that way. And we pull up here on the marker pretty much fairly near the bottom of the circle. Not much cover, but this is a good pushing in point. And really at this point, it depends on... In fact, can we go back a little bit just so you can see that bit better? Let's just pause that. Right, there we go. So that's where we are here, sort of round at the bottom of the circle. It's very open behind us, so we'd see any teams coming that way. We know the circles are going to be popping somewhere around this way, so we could choose to go in on foot. I really enjoy Taego as a map because there is plenty of cover, and you do have the option of going on foot. Whereas on maps like Miramar, there's so much open areas, you've really got to keep a vehicle. So we hang around this area for a little bit, and then it really is... Right, okay, let's go out on foot now. By abandoning the vehicle, the advantage of that is that we're not making much sound, so we can be a bit stealthy and just kind of move in. Still 44 people alive, so still plenty of people around. And we move into the little temple area, and as we do, we notice there's some enemies up here, and we kind of get involved in a a little bit of a long-range firefight. It doesn't really involve me and the colonel, to be honest. We're just really shooting at the others, and these guys then get attacked by another team that comes over the hill. So there we go. There's the other team coming over the hill. So these guys end up getting third-partied, which is pretty good. I think we get some damage in. The colonel may well get a kill. Not always a good idea. You do have to be careful with that sort of thing, because I haven't got a suppressor on my SKS, so I am giving away our position. And if anybody was coming round the circle from the other side, on the right hand side, they would know exactly where we would be. Now we have to run for the blue, and this is where we get split up. So what's happened here, if we go back a little bit. So there we go. So we're running for the blue. As you can see, I'm in the lead. The colonel's behind me. And as we're getting to the blue, I dive down to to bandage up. And the colonel comes out of the blue a little... Actually, he's not that far behind me, but what happens is I move up further away. Now, what's happened here is the colonel can actually see an enemy over here. And what happens next is, this is where I lose my situational awareness, because the colonel's saying, look, I need to engage this guy, because you notice we're not in the next circle yet if you look in the bottom right corner, and I'm trying to see this chap, and the colonel's saying he's in a dino suit, and I'm like I just can't see him. And I stay to start off with lying down, which is good, because the danger here is there's going to be people round to our east, around this area of the circle. There has to be people around there, because we've still got 20 people alive. And as soon as we start firing, we're going to be attracting their attention. So while I'm lying down, it's pretty good, because I've got cover. I've got a little bit of a hill that I'm kind of on, and I'm trying to make an angle as well to see where it is. And for the life of me, as the colonel's calling out, I can't see this guy. And so the colonel's now engaging. Now the guy is actually there. He's behind that tree. You might even see him pop up if you watch carefully in the video. And I cannot see him. And I'm thinking, is he over here? Is he behind there? And the colonel's given me good instructions, but I just cannot see him. I'm like, where is he? Where is he? Because again, we both need to move shortly, because we're not in the next circle. So I'm crawling around trying to figure out what's going on, trying to see where this guy is, and I'm still clueless. And I'm like, where is he? Where is this guy? He's behind a tree. And he's actually, you can't see it, but there's a tree there. That's where this guy is. And I'm like, where is he? Where is it? And so I actually make the mistake of standing up so I could get a better look. Because I'm like, I should be able to see him now. I should have an angle to help the colonel out. And can I see him? So I stand up. That is the mistake I make. I lose my situational awareness. I don't think about the enemies that are going to be behind me, who will now be able to see me, because they'll be looking in this direction, because they'll be able to hear the gunfire between the colonel and this dino guy. Dang, and that's it. There we go. I'm knocked by a guy with the Kar 98 who had all the time in the world to line me up. I look around trying to see. Remember, the colonel's still trying to engage this dino guy who's running off this way, so he has to peel left, and then I'm knocked and moving in with someone who knows that I'm knocked and is waiting for the colonel to come back and try and pick me up. So I then die, and then it's all down to the colonel now. So let's watch the colonel as we flick over, and we can see what happens. So we've got 6 people left alive. The colonel is quite a long way from the circle. We know there's people where I died, which is over here, and he's got people over here. Now there is, let's see if we can get a view of it. There is literally no cover in front. Right, so he's got a team here, and he's got a team over here. So what? That's 2, that's 4, and then there's another person somewhere. So look how open this area is. his only cover is, I guess he could get behind one of these trees or this rock. So this is a very difficult situation. So I remember at the time thinking, oh god, okay, well you've had it really. But again, this is an example of where never give up in PUBG. You never know what's going to happen. Now the Colonel hasn't got any smokes left. There are the smokes he actually threw to try and see if he could get through to me. So he's got no tactical smokes left. So remember, he's got a suppressor, so he decides to take a couple of pot shots at these guys. Because, you know, even if you can't kill someone, knocking them or even just damaging their armor can really, really help. So just waiting now. 5 seconds to go. Then he's gonna have to make a move. And he's thinking, "There's no cover here. What on earth am I going to do?" And luckily, what happens? There's a supply drop comes in, and the supply drops in Taego are huge. Look at how many, look how many supplies are coming down. So he's got instant cover. He'll probably be able to get level 3 helmet, level 3 vest out of the big blue and red one. And meanwhile, the other teams have started to engage each other. There's a team here which is pushing this way. There's a team on the back of the hill. I don't know where the other person is. So there we go. Now they're probably the best cover in the game, these boxers. Gets his level 3 helmet on, moves forward a little bit. Cover behind the box. Now it's 5 now, so it's probably 2 versus 2 versus 1. But again, the circle hasn't been kind. He's got a way to go. He's boosting up. He's at full boost now. Just letting them engage each other. And then he's doing the loop around the back. So this is the kind of, when you're in this sort of situation, whether it be in a 2v2, v1 or anything like that, as soon as you hear the other teams engaging each other, that's the time to move. That's the time to try and get an advantageous tactical position, because they're going to be concentrating on engaging each other. They're going to be losing the situational awareness that there is another person alive on the field. There was a couple of players knocked. And then the Colonel uses his Molotov. Right, and then, as we can see here, all of a sudden it goes to 2 alive. So there's the Colonel, the knocked players die. The Molotov misses, but this guy hasn't got a clue where the Colonel is. And the Colonel, super accurate with, I think he's got a 416, takes him out. And there we go, the chicken dinner. Brilliant. Well, hopefully some of the ideas, tactics and strategies in that video will be useful. If they have been, hit the like. Many thanks to the Colonel for getting the chicken dinner for me, and some excellent team play. And of course, I'll see you again soon.